So your illustrations can come from history, they can come from literature, they can come from current events, Tiger Woods. They can come from your own experience. We call that self-disclosure. It's very powerful as you embody the truth of the gospel and how you're working out your own discipleship in this world. How else can you use story? Well, you can use drama. Any of you ever partner, you're preaching partners with drama? Willow Creek kind of championed this, and let me tell you guys, it's very powerful. Drama is excellent at setting up problems, problematizing, the family or suffering. It's not great at giving solutions, the sermons, but it's very good at raising felt need and creating a tension. What else could you do? You could with narrative, the entire sermon could be a narrative. Third-person narrative or first-person narrative. Have you ever seen a sermon like that? It's very engaging to use the vehicle of story rather than 3 points and propositions and all of that. So narrative is a big category. How about testimony? If I were planting a church right now, and I could create it in my own image, you know what I mean? If I could stamp the culture of the church, I would make testimony part of the genetic code of the church. Why? Well, because we live in a narrative age. We live in an interactive, walls come down age. It's theologically, it's part of body life, and we're all in this together. It's interesting, it's engaging. And I would just put people's stories in the church newsletter, and I would have people's stories when you do a vision casting banquet, and I would have stories on Sunday morning church, and I would give open testimony time. We used to do that in my church in Pennsylvania, and Sunday night we'd had testimony time, and I would just make it part of the genetic code of the church. How about parable? Kind of a story, a narrative parable. You ever try to create a parable? We were doing a series on parables years ago when I was pastoring in Portland, Oregon, and I was doing the introductory message, which was basically the hermeneutics of parables. We didn't call it that, but it's, how to interpret a parable, what makes a parable, an introduction to the literature. And I think I had 5 points in the parables. I was going to teach them, and I started out to create an original parable to illustrate each of the 5 points. Do you ever try it? It gave me a whole new appreciation for these seemingly simple little beguiling, little stories Jesus. You try it. We're going to talk about parables in a little bit. But I think today is a day that's ripe for a renaissance of parable. It's indirect, it's imaginative, it's holistic, it's narrative, it's engaging, it's whole brain. So you might try the vehicle of parable.